and welcome back to MDG Media. This is round 3 front 9 MPO lead card coverage of the 2024 Belgian Open. With just 18 holes remaining, we will crown your next DGPT Europe champion. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Elias Luukkonen.
What's up, Connor? Nice to be here once again. Looking at this exciting finish, we have many players in contention, some new names, some more familiar names, and we'll see how this tournament is gonna turn out. It's the starting tournament of the year, and we're starting off with the two leaders, Teemu Lampainen, a young player from Finland, very well-rounded, Latitude sponsored.
Joining him, Nestori Tuhkanen, really strong player with a well-rounded game and known to be really not with any known weaknesses.
Davidsson, a very accurate forehand player, great hard backhand driver shots as well.
And Konsorr, another Latitude 64 sponsored player from Germany, really looking to make a statement here on this international stage.
And we're starting off on an easy but a very nervy hole. Hole 1, only 74 meters, but playing as an island hole. The island on the long, the right and left side is much smaller than the circle. Talking about the 10-meter circle, of course. If you miss this island, you're going straight to a drop zone. It's definitely a birdie you want to get.
Let's give it up for Nestori Tuhkanen.
We will have Nestori get us started. And potentially some nerves here. A lead card final round of the first DGPT Europe tournament. Nestori conquers any potential nervousness he might have with a great throw.
Let's give it up for Teemu Lampainen.
And that was a nice shot, and you can see the soft ground just eating up all the potential skip that you might normally have on this hole. A lot of steep hyzer angle is expected on pretty much all players on the card, as Teemu is a little bit short, but that will be no more than 6 meters for the birdie.
Let's hear it for Davidsson.
Daniel here, you touched on this in a previous round, Elias, but going without a manufacturing sponsor this season, throwing all the plastic which he would like to, and hopefully taking advantage of that to come out here and put on a good final round. He comes up a little bit shy and does not get over the wall. He will proceed to the drop zone.
Let's give it up for Konsorr.
And Konsorr, who had an incredible second round going -10. A name that we are not very familiar with, but he's a long-time player from Germany, and right there starting off well with a good backstop on the backside. He's a strong putter, and if he can get the driving going, he can really play well.
Daniel giving that one a soft bid. Very easy to get into trouble quickly. Some players even opting to lay up from the drop zone. Daniel gives it a little bit of a chance, and Teemu with a lot of metal, but slightly uncommitted on that delivery. We see Kevin now, his chance for birdie.
Well done there. No nerves on the first hole, or probably there were some nerves, but not affecting that putt right there. Nestori already on the first hole having a chance that he delivers on to go on that one-stroke lead after a rather uncharacteristic miss from Teemu.
And Daniel, we've mentioned it before, but a very polarizing hole. A lot of birdies and bogeys, not so many pars are found here. Teemu does find one, but we get a mixed bag. Moving on to hole 2. A 131-meter par 3 sloping both right to left as well as softly uphill. This one requires a really good drive off the tee in terms of power and accuracy, and is often considered one of the bonus birdies of the front 9, although not too hard to par. The dangers to the left and right OB are quite far away. The fairway is very generous, and a lot of players will try to push a power hyzer flip or soft flex up there and try to crash that late tree line. We have a chase card check-in here with Silverlet. Had a very strong 12 under first round, but an even second round. Currently on chase card in this final one, and going long of the pin here with the forehand. Picturesque shaping of the fairway.
Yeah, very impressive. Both power and angle control there. Silver is known for having one of the biggest forehands we have in Europe out of any player, but players on our card are more likely to go with a backhand. Nestori here trying to shape that slight turnover. Looked like a bit of an early release, but the result really not that bad. He's going to be outside of circle 1, but still having a putt at this relatively safe and flat green. Really no danger on this hole as far as putting.
Certainly, we get to look at the speed from Kevin here. Disc coming out really fast, but turning aggressively. He catches the right side rough and fades back inbounds. No damage done. Likely a small chip up for par.
Teemu here with a big snap. He's one of the loudest players as far as the disc coming out of the hand. Also going to be outside the circle. On a hole that isn't very commonly birdied. Actually 75% of the field getting a par here.
And Daniel just a touch low on that release. You can see fighting that slight slope. You do need to give it the height to get all the way. He's left with this long jump putt. And what a bid. Unfortunate to have it too low to go in, but online the entire way and very good committed jump putt. We see Kevin now.
Respectable effort there. Gonna have just a short comebacker left. And let's see Nestori here. He's also a great long-range putter. Really a great putter from any range. I feel like that is something to watch out for today. Both Teemu and Nestori are known for having strong putts. And Teemu here, from outside the circle, not quite the case for him. He's gonna be even par through 2 holes.
And as we see, likely the par frame here for our lead card, joining that 75% of the field. Daniel with the bogey on 1, going to be looking to find his first birdie of the round. Elias, speak to us about the difficulty of the front 9 relative to the back 9 and their respective challenges.
Yeah, that's a great point, as the front 9 is definitely the more difficult of the 2 nines. On the back we have more open holes, a little bit longer, but for these players they are more comfortable with the open, you know, hyzer shots where you can play that stability of the disc. Whereas on the front 9 we have a lot of these straight shots that you really have to control the angle on. And hole 3 is definitely one of those holes. 106 meters. It's a dead straight shot, and you have OB both on the right and most dangerous OB on the left side. Really, a lot of players are trying to find that either, you know, right side of the basket or just to say perfectly online. Definitely a birdie hole for these players.
As we get another look here at the chase card, Silver once again putting pressure on our leaders. And a great stump to slow him down there. He is absolutely parked in bullseye. Hole 3, definitely an attackable one, but not without its dangers. We will see Nestori now try to find a birdie of his own here. Good looking hyzer flip, and I like the height on this.
And he's gonna be on that very common landing zone on the right side. Some obstructed putts to be had from there, but definitely not a bad shot. Kevin going really high. And that's a great kick, not even finding the right side bushes.
Certainly worked out well for him. We see Teemu now. 2 pars so far. Looking to get his round started. And a great timing on the stability. We saw that incredibly straight flight with the fade kicking in just in time. He too will find himself with a short birdie putt.
Daniel here going with a low driven mid-range. Well done there. He's going to be well in the circle, potentially having to go with a bit of a straddle, just like Nestori here. This is a tough putt. He even has a bit of a low ceiling that Nestori actually ends up hitting.
Kevin capitalizing there, 2 down through the first 3 holes. And this is a great example of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Europe coming together and showing us the best talent from around the continent. Obviously, the Finns heavily represented on this lead card at the moment, but really international tournament and a great start to kick off our 2024 season. We'll be left with these short putts here. Teemu snagging his first birdie of this final round.
And you mentioning the Finns, interestingly enough, all three Finns are only 1 year apart as far as what year they were born in. So Nestori and Daniel being born 2003 and Teemu being born 2004. So the youth on this card, as far as the Finns, is truly, it's impressive how these young players are handling their game already at such a young age.
And there's no doubt there. Certainly a country that is producing some of the best young talent, without a doubt. Our players will move on to hole 4, a par 3 at 97 meters, sloping uphill. You have this gap here to hit, where the fairway then widens to this very muddy green, holding an elevated basket. You have OB to the left, right, and long, although left and right are really the ones more commonly found. Players are likely going to get a hyzer through the gap that flips up, whether on the forehand or backhand. Forehand flex shapes really naturally here. And as we continue to see Silver forge ahead after a difficult second round, we get a look at Pekka here as well.
Yeah, Pekka Hyvönen, a new MVP teammate for this year. And what a great shot going there with, I believe, the Hex. And even a third chase card member, Morten Brenna, known as a very accurate driver on the backhand. And that's 3 ways to play this hole. Just beautiful.
A well-committed putt there. We mention it every time on hole 4, but the mud of this green really encouraging players to not transfer their weight so much in the lower body, but utilize the arm on their putting stroke a little bit more than they might usually. And Pekka, so confident with that birdie, he'll do it bag on. Another great young player who could be a mainstay on MDG this season. Of course, we'll have to find out. We go now back to our lead card. Kevin shaping a backhand flex through the gap. Hits it purely, and great timing on that fade.
Yeah, great angle control. You see a lot of players utilizing a little bit of that understability, trying to rather turn to the right than to stay on the left side of the basket. Same thing for Teemu here, though a little bit low. With a couple of more meters of height, he would have been in the circle for sure. And Daniel, has a good touch forehand normally, so not surprised to see him go for it.
And he plays much more of that hyzer flip rather than the full flex line. Unfortunately turns it a bit too early and catches the left side. Nestori inversely turning over his backhand finds the right side, as both of these guys will simply be chipping up now, getting as close as they can to the elevated basket to try and reduce some of the stress on that upcoming putt. Daniel a touch short, but well within his range.
Yeah, I think it's kind of mentally difficult to aim this approach to be long enough. Since the green is so muddy, the discs are really not skipping that much. I feel like that's the reason why a lot of people's, even off the tee, are landing a little bit short. Like Teemu there, he was a little bit hesitant on the putt, not wanting to risk going OB. And that's what happens when you're a little bit short off the tee.
Kevin, however, is good for it, getting 3 of the first 4 holes as birdies. Very nicely done and great composure. Potentially playing on MDG for the first time, I believe. And good to see him maintaining the pace that he was setting yesterday. Daniel with a solid par there.
Yeah, I think Kevin is on here for the first time, and a lot of, there was a lot of talk about his second round, and even himself, he admitted that he was incredibly happy already with his performance in the tournament, no matter how the third round was going to go. But looks like he's gonna continue right from where he left in the second round. And that's just great to see. A lot of times when somebody is on coverage for the first time on MDG or some other big media, they can be a little bit shaky, but not the case for Kevin.
And I think especially on some of those early holes, but as we all know, once you start playing around, you can settle in.
We are here. We are one. We will fight. We will fall. We will prevail. From the fjords of Norway to the shores of Spain, from the fire of Iceland to the hope of Ukraine. 30 countries, one voice. Go Europe!
And we're continuing to the first par 4 of the course. This is something we will have plenty of. A lot of par 4s on this course. This one being 172 meters, kind of a medium distance par 4. Off the tee you want to throw either a forehand or a roller. Just get around all of the leaves, move around the corner and a little bit to the right. Hopefully setting yourself up with no more than 70 or 80 meters of approach to this well-guarded green. You really have just a straight tunnel shot to get there. And we're checking the chase card again with Pekka Hyvönen going with a nice wide forehand. That's really the line you want to hit with a forehand. Don't challenge the branches on the right and he will have a good spot there to approach the green from.
And we get to see that approach as well. Shaping a beautiful flip up. Love the height to control both the distance as well as snag some of that ground up there. A lot of things to hit along the way. And just like that, Pekka showing us how to take a stress-free birdie here on hole 5. Kevin now with the box. Going to be throwing the less traditional backhand line. And what we're going to hope to see is it not enter the tree line and flatten out towards the end of the flight. And that is pretty much a perfect air shot for the backhand. Can't throw it much better than that. Well done, Kevin.
Yeah, very impressive. I feel like quite often do you see the backhand being a little bit too inside, just like this forehand by Teemu. That's going to be no birdie position. He will have to play for par from there, and the par is no guarantee. He can't really advance too far from there towards the gap, so he will pretty much have to place his second shot to where a good drive would land.
And this is the most aggressive play you can choose to go for off the tee, the backhand roller. But you can see he knows he did not turn that over enough, and some frustration shown from him there. I'll be honest, I'm surprised to not see him throwing the forehand, knowing that he's comfortable with that and how naturally it shapes, but he has an aggressive game plan, and I'm sure he was hitting that line in his practice rounds. We see Nestori just a little bit inside, fortunate to kick out the back, although still not sure if he'll have a manageable birdie look from there.
And Teemu here, you can see actually hole 9's basket on the background, so he was quite deep in there. And now even going a little bit long off the gap, he will have to scramble some sort of Anheuser forehand from there, I believe.
Nestori gonna need this to flip up late in the flight. Oh, what a beauty. That was such a tight width that he had available to him to get through cleanly, and he does manufacture. Fantastic shot to get himself up there. We go to Daniel now from where his roller crossed OB. And unfortunately does not get that turnover in time, catching the right side of the second tunnel. Likely just playing for bogey.
Oh, and a bad slip from Kevin. This is one of the muddier fairways we have on the course. Even going with a standstill and still slipping. And Teemu here, this is one of his strongest shots. The force over forehand with an overstable disc. I would expect us to see a lot of shots like that on this course by him.
Kevin, considering how far away he was, with quite a nice spinny bid there. Daniel doing what he needs to get close as well, and he's done just that. Going to be tapping in a bogey here. We go to Teemu to save his par.
That's a big and a costly miss, as Nestori is putting for a birdie here. There will be a 2-stroke swing early on the round, and we'll have to see how that is going to affect not only the score but also the momentum on the group.
No doubt. Certainly some tension here in this final round. I think all of these players looking to, of course, not only play their best tournament, but really get a gauge of how they might perform this season as an introduction to the year. This course really demanding the best from our players. We see here hole 6, a 165-meter par 4 tunnel shot the entire way. The first half of this hole no more than 3 or 4 meters at its widest. If you can navigate that, it widens a little bit before bending softly to the right and then back to the left, where you find a sloped, muddy green with the basket perched atop it. One of the harder birdies to get, requiring 2 very clean placement shots, and a lot of players will be quite alright taking a par here. Really just one of the holes you want to avoid blowing up on.
And we're having a chase car check-in, not on hole 6, but rather on the next hole 7, with Silverlat throwing a beautiful forehand. He's gonna have a good look at the birdie here, going uphill from about 9 meters, and well done there. He's truly on a heater right now.
Certainly not messing around, and we even see his throw here on hole 8. The man is looking pretty dialed right now, putting it close and cashing the birdies, and if he's not close, he's making the putts. I think there's certainly a bit of frustration from a player who shot a 12-stroke difference between rounds 1 and 2. I think that coming into that third round, he wants to prove something to himself and to the field.
And now we're back on hole number 6 with our lead card. Nestori a little bit left off the tee, and that can be trouble. You know, the left side on this fairway is a little bit better than the right. You do have some gaps from the left, but it's just setting up for aggressive play that might not be too smart if you're trying to hit one of those gaps with a lot of distance.
Kevin with a tough release there off to the right, kicking him to the left. Those early trees can be particularly punishing. Teemu with an aggressive driver shot, and this has some air under it. It's not in the traditional fairway, but that is smoked, leaving him no more than, I think, 30 meters or so to the pin.
Daniel trying to go with a hard driver shot. He's a player that's usually more accurate the harder he throws the disc, so really preferring to rather throw a firm driver shot than a touchy mid-range, but not having the full reward there, as we saw Kevin there just pitching up, and Nestori, this is a tough shot. He has to hit the gap to get to the fairway, and looks like he has done it very well. Even fading out a little bit, but what a nice roll. He's going to be on the edge and still a good chance for the par.
And I absolutely love the conservative play from Kevin to pitch out, and look at that shot from way over 100 down the tunnel the entire way, and he is up in the circle. What a fantastic execution of his game plan there, knowing on that second shot 10 or 20 meters is all he needs. Daniel trying to skip that one in from around the corner. Aggressive ground play.
Yeah, we're seeing some amazing approaches here on 6. It's not an easy shot there. Well, from where Nestori was, it was already quite manageable. But from where the other guys were, it's over 100 meters and through this tight tunnel. And Teemu even having to go through the back door. This is his putt for the birdie.
And he cashes that one. Really nice looking putt there, dropping in on a hyzer angle to the strong side. There was no doubt about that one. We go to Nestori now, at about 6 or 7 meters.
Yep, good save there. It's really not a hole that you can be too mad with a par on, especially after his drive. He was way off the fairway. And it's one of the more difficult holes on the course, playing as the second most difficult with a 4.53 average, so averaging over half a stroke above par. Very few birdies and a lot of bogeys on this one to be had.
But as we see the standings here, Silver, who we checked in on a few times, pushing his way up to third, 1 hole ahead of Kevin and 1 stroke as well. We move to hole 7.
Hole number 7. A short but precise par 3, actually playing much longer than the 84 meters listed on the hole, as we're going uphill and through this narrow gap on the right side. A lot of players are going for this straight fairway driver shot, trying to get through the leaves and miss 1 or 2 trees in the middle of the gap. You really can't hit the line perfectly every time. You need a little bit of luck on this hole, unless you're going for the forehand flex shot, which at best will give you a circle's edge look.
Absolutely. This tiered terraced green, really difficult to stay on top of. even when you hit it cleanly like Teemu there, naturally they tend to filter to the bottom, leaving you that steeply uphill putt from about 8 to 10 meters at its closest. Daniel hitting it very purely as well, does get to that first step, and great throw to put himself in position for birdie. Nestori, our current solo leader.
Trying to get through the trees, and he does. Not quite the flip up he wanted though, so he's gonna end up long left of the basket. That's an interesting angle to run the green from, because you're fading against the hillside, which does set up for some rollaways, but I would expect him to run the putt either way, as Kevin almost was able to get to some higher tiers on that staircase, but he will be at the very bottom, putting from 10 meters.
Oh, and Nestori with what looked to be a fantastic putt. You have to putt it really hard from how far he was and how down the hill. Teemu sticks it though with a high right hyzer putt. Chains pulling that one in. We go to Kevin now, just adjacent. Elias, you think some nerves when a guy has made the putt right before you have the same putt?
Not for him apparently. I think it can sometimes even give you a nice guideline of how hard you have to putt it. You know, you're going so far uphill. It's not really a putt you practice really ever at the practice basket. You really need some special facility to even have such a high uphill slope. But yeah, I think it can maybe even help you aim a little bit, as that's going to be 3 birdies on the card. A very good score on this hole. That's also not birdied all the time, even by our best players.
No doubt there. Number 8, however, commonly found birdie. Par 3 at only 80 meters, even sloping softly downhill, and a pretty pure tunnel shot. Players can choose their favorite straight flying low speed disc, and you can throw it backhand or forehand down the middle. Really shapes nicely. Ideally, you hit the ground before the basket and use that downward slope to slide on up into the circle.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see the forehand versus backhand ratio on this hole. I almost a little bit expected Teemu to go with that nice forehand anhyzer, but clearly able to go with a nice standstill backhand. Daniel, though, looks to have been going for the forehand.
And I think throwing something pretty understable, but that was a steep hyzer angle out to the right side, and it either didn't have the rotations or the time to flip over to the left. He'll be in the right side rough fairly early. I think outside a meaningful putting distance. Kevin here, fortunate kick off that tree, keeping him closer than he otherwise would have been, and in the circle. You mentioned the ratio, Elias. We have 2 backhands and 2 forehands. Nestori fading out a touch early, but again, you can see very favorable hole to get a straight shot, and opening up to the left and the right, players will be given an opportunity to putt, even with an imperfect tee shot.
As Daniel has a great run. He's talented at those floaty bits. Really good, you know, frisbee skill, I would say, with throwing those long putts and having the angle. As Teemu kind of unfortunately splashing out from the right side. Can't really blame the basket. He was definitely far right, but I'm sure he wanted to have another go at that.
And Kevin has looked very solid on the putting green so far. Really pretty quick putter as well. Doesn't seem to take too much time. Very simple routine and very present in the moment. Makes sure to put his putt in. Daniel and Teemu taking the pars, and the other 2 securing the birdie here on hole 8.
I just have to say how incredibly impressed I am with Kevin's composure. He's already 5 under on the round, matching the pace that he needs to keep if he wants to, you know, have that 10 under round again that he had in round 2. That's just incredible with all the pressure of the final round. We'll have to see whether he can keep that pace through hole 9 though. The most difficult hole on the course, playing at 183 meters and a par 4. A difficult shape. Off the tee you need to throw a tight right moving shot, and if you get your drive far enough, you know, you want about 90 meters off the tee, Then you have a blind sweeping hyzer shot through all sorts of different trees and gaps. A really tight hole both off the tee and especially on the second shot. Quite rare to even see birdie looks on this hole.
Kevin throwing the less commonly found backhand, and that is such a pure execution of that shot. Really fantastic angle control, and we're getting a great view at why he's here on this lead card here in round 3. His game matching these wooded holes really well. Nestori with the power forehand hyzer, a little bit too straight flying. That will not really give him too much progress available on the second shot, but still par very much in play for a very seldomly birdied hole. Teemu finding more hyzer angle.
This is a very pure line. Yep. Nicely hit. He was even a little bit outside, so you could see the line from the tee. You want to be even a little bit right of that, ideally. Either more hyzer or play tighter to the pole. And Daniel, that was just way too wide out of the hand, hitting the first branches available. And this is when this hole gets really difficult. He still has 150 meters at least to get to the green.
And he unfortunately kicks out to the left. We go to Nestori now. And you can see how little fairway is available if you are not exactly in the sweet spot. Elias, you mentioned you were impressed with Kevin's composure. I'm impressed that Teemu chose to come out here with white pants on such a muddy day, and they look pretty crisp.
Yeah, that's incredible. I was actually checking those out throughout the entire round, and I don't think he ever got a single piece of mud on them.
Honestly, shockingly impressive. As we see them continue to chip away down the fairway. Nestori just a few meters from the fairway's middle, and he's left with so little, getting tree kick after tree kick. Daniel as well, full extension off his left leg, high release and hyzer to try and shape that late corner.
Yeah, and where Nestori is here, that's actually about 3 meters from where we were standing as the third card. Almost hit us on our ankles, and his struggles are going to continue. He's still over 20 meters away and in the bushes. And at the same time, Teemu is already under the basket.
Daniel as well makes his way to the green. When you get caught off the fairway, this hole can just feel almost endless, considering it's under 200 meters. And Kevin, well done to put himself up there safely. Nestori, an important putt here.
Yeah, that's a great putt for a double bogey. Talking about composure, that's what you need right there. And he's gonna drop a couple of strokes to Teemu, but still in very good position. He needs to keep his head calm because he still has an incredible chance to win this tournament.
There's no doubt, as we are here now on hole 9. With only 9 holes remaining, every stroke matters in terms of final result, cash potential, podium positions. Everything that comes along with being a Disc Golf Pro Tour champion. We take a look through the front 9. Kevin, without a doubt, shooting the hottest here on our lead card at 5 under. Currently tied with Nestori at 18 under total. Teemu still with a 1-stroke lead going into this back 9.
Yeah, that's very impressive play, specifically from Kevin. But everybody is in play still for the win. Maybe Daniel not so much, but we have an exciting back 9 coming up. Please join us. You can support MDG on Patreon if you want to. Konsorr, thank you so much for doing commentary with me, and see you on the back.